The Seattle Seahawks are getting back their star wide receiver DK Metcalf for a must-win game against the San Francisco 49ers. He's finally off the injury report. He missed the last 2 games, and they severely needed him. That Rams game was truly heartbreaking, and I feel like if DK was out there, I really feel like they get the job done. But then again, that game was all on Geno Smith, so it's really hard to say. But I know without a doubt, DK Metcalf is really the glue of this offense and this team. And if Geno even wants a chance to get a dub on a week-to-week basis, he needs DK Metcalf out there. So big news for the Seahawks in again a must-win game. In the previous 2 weeks, they failed to score more than 20 points in both games, and they've really fallen off the past 5 games after starting the year really well. And right now, they definitely are free-falling. McCaffrey just got back with the Niners, so expect the Niners to turn up. The Cardinals are still going to play good ball, and I feel like the Rams are pretty much dead in the water. When you lose at home on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins, granted, they're a better team, they're a different team with Tua, but you just can't lose that game. You can't lose that game, and I feel like they're too far back to really compete and for potentially the division. So I really feel like it's down to those 3 teams, and I think if I had to make a prediction, again, not like a crazy hot take, but I think the Cardinals are definitely gonna be the NFC West champs this year. Prior to the start of the season, I feel like no one at all predicted that, so good for Jonathan Gannon and Kyler and just everyone involved on the Cardinals. James Conner is a beast this year. Harrison is coming along. That defense is pretty steady, man. They look like a legit playoff team. And, the Niners could come and challenge them at the tail end of the year, but I don't really see it. I just don't see it. I feel like the Niners have a lot of details to work out. They could hypothetically get hot at the right time and maybe sneak into the playoffs potentially, but I just think this team has too many issues right now, but we'll definitely see. So back to the Seahawks. Like I said, must-win game on the road against San Francisco. And, San Francisco has really owned the Seahawks for the past 10 games, especially with Geno as their QB. And I feel like he's kind of playing for his Seahawks career here. He's looked pretty awful in certain spots the last couple weeks. That Rams game, like I just mentioned, was all on him. And I feel like Seahawks fans are pretty much sick of him. Prior to the start of this year, I wanted Sam Howell to get into the mix. I know Sam Howell is kind of a divisive quarterback. You either love him or hate him. I think he did a decent job on Washington, and I would like to see what he could do with JSN, Tyler Lockett, DK, and Kenneth Walker, man. I'd be really curious to see, and we might see that if Geno continues to struggle. Maybe Mike McDonald will make the call at some point, especially if the season is lost. I'd be very curious to check those games out, but can the Seahawks actually beat the Niners on the road? I think it's going to be a hard task, man. I think it's going to be a hard task. DK coming back is huge. If DK wasn't playing this upcoming Sunday, then I'd be like, no way. They win this game, especially with McCaffrey's first home game of this year. So, a division rival game as well, of course. So, extra juice in the building for sure. Right now, the Niners are kind of heavy favorites. Minus 290, minus 6.5 spread. And, if the Seahawks could do it, that would be huge for the NFC West too, man. Because right now the Seahawks are 4-5, Niners are 5-4. So that would really stall. That would really stall the Niners' playoff chances. This week the Cardinals are on a bye, but next week the Seahawks are playing them at home. So another huge game for the Seahawks if they want to make the playoffs this year. And yeah, man, the next 2 weeks are definitely going to determine whether or not this is a playoff team. Two division rival games back to back. Both are must wins, absolutely. Just because of the state of the NFC as well. Very competitive compared to the AFC. So if they want to keep up, they got to do it. They got to be successful. They got to win. Let me know if you guys think the Seahawks could beat the Niners on the road. And do you think they could beat the Cardinals at home? I think they have a chance. But I definitely would not put money on it. I would not be surprised if they lose both games, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Hypothetically, if they lose both games or if they win both games, the month of December doesn't really get any easier. They're at the Jets, so that's a pretty good start. But then they're at the Cardinals, at home against the Packers, then at home against the Vikings. Then they're at Chicago, and then they finish the year in LA. So they really got to get going. Some winnable games there for sure, but this team hasn't looked too hot, the past 2-3 weeks. So I don't know if this team is going to play to its full potential, or they're just going to flop, or if Gino is just going to crumble like he's been crumbling the past little bit for this team. And Seahawks fans, do you want Geno Smith back as your quarterback for next year? I really think after how it went a year ago with Geno really coming back down to earth, I really think they should have maybe drafted a quarterback. I know they added Sam Howell, but I don't know. I feel like they need more of a guy waiting in the wings to really take over and be the true QB1 one day, because that's what he is, man. He's a bridge quarterback. That 1 year in 2022, yeah, he went off, and good for him. He had a career year, but that was really an outlier career for his resume in the NFL. And, in 2023, he came crashing back down to earth in a really ugly way. And this year, he's been pretty responsible for a couple of meaningful L's for the Seahawks. So I really think you got to cut ties with Geno going forward, because Seahawks, it's a talented roster, man. They have weapons on offense. They have pieces on defense. Mike McDonald, I know the defense hasn't been great the past little bit, but I think it can turn up and turn around. And I feel like going forward, this team should be a playoff team. They just need a solid, reliable quarterback. I feel like if they got like a guy like Kirk Cousins on the Seahawks, this would be a playoff team every single year. I think they just need a reliable guy. And we'll see how their year ends up and if they get a high draft pick, but definitely not a bad move to draft a quarterback. I don't know what the free agent quarterback class is off the top of my head. I know Sam Darnold is probably going to be available. I wouldn't really advise them to sign him just because of how he's looked the first half of the season to how he's been looking the past couple weeks. Not really great. Like I said, to get like just a stable, reliable guy as the Seahawks quarterback, I think that would be great for the franchise. And like I said, I think this roster is a playoff team every year if they could find that guy. Very easier said than done, but anything is possible. So let me know if you think the Niners are going to beat the Seahawks this week, or do you think the Seahawks are going to upset them? Do you think Geno should come back next year as the Seahawks quarterback? Let me know in the comments. If you made this far, please subscribe. Help out your boy a ton. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
And we've reached the 2-minute warning. Glad to have you back as we come out of the 2-minute warning here in the first half. The Steelers have it at the 39. And it's swatted away.
I'll say this, in your situation like this, 3rd and long, and you're winning here, if you throw the football, fire the coach. And I'm just saying that because I don't think there's any chance they're going to throw the football in this situation.
3rd down and 12. Brown's there to catch a ball that had a lot of heat on it. That's reception number 4 for him. The Steelers have clearly been focusing on getting some of their big weapons involved here in the first half. Brown's been a favorite target, Phil.
He has. And listen, when you have that kind of talent on the outside, you got a quarterback that can put it on the money. The offensive line, they're having an outstanding day, too. It adds up to a lot of receiving yards. That's a really good throw and catch, and they get the first down, Jim. That's what you want to do. Pick up that first down. Now you give your offense 3 more opportunities.
Roethlisberger's completion percentage, 80% on the day. Brandon Marshall has the sack.
That's an excellent job by the defense. Just gets quick penetration in there, hits the quarterback, and gets the sack. That clock keeps moving. What a job by the defense in this situation.
From the shotgun. Lays out and makes the play. The Steelers are going to burn the first of their 3 timeouts right here. This has been a long drive so far. Third and goal from the 7. And the flag is down.